The week of Team 10 sensei-prescribed downtime had come to an end, and before long, they were right back to work, as all three of the young Genin class shinobi had incentive for wanting to get stronger. Ino, for wanting to provide more than a mere support role for the team. Shikamaru, so that he could find himself capable of going through with his own plan instead of having to use his teammates as living chess pieces, as well as bettering his strategies that his father showed him he was still lacking somewhat in. And last but not least, Naruto, who believed that he wasn't strong enough to still be accepting of his role as the team's direct conflict fighter and overall self-professed guardian of sorts. But with him, things were coming along smoothly, especially after a little boon bestowed upon him by Asuma during their down week. Flashback, 3 weeks ago, 4 days into Team 10's break. Naruto sat cross-legged on the ground in front of Asuma, under the shade of a single tree in their team's training grounds, clearing against the rock. The man himself was leaning against the tree trunk itself, with a very satisfied smile on his face. It's really a good thing for you that I'm your sensei. I think I'm the only other wind user in the leaf other than you now. Naruto nodded and stayed silent for the time being. He was aware of elements at the very least. Like for instance, he knew that Sasuke shot big-ass fireballs around at his leisure, something that Naruto actually wished he could do. Why couldn't he have been Fire Nature? That seemed so much cooler than wind. I mean, who didn't like fireballs and explosions? And when he said the explosion, he would just turn around and walk away, because after all, everyone knew that cool guys don't look at explosions. He tried practicing his not looking at explosions cool guy gestures when he first joined, but Asuma didn't want him using explosive tags like that, and he didn't want him turning the training ground into a cratered mess. Asuma gave Naruto a deadpan look, as he could see Naruto had stopped paying attention and had a glazed look on his face with a content smirk. You were thinking of the cool guys and look at explosions thing again, weren't you? Asuma said, getting Naruto to snap out of his daydream. It's all over your face. Now you have that look of, why didn't I get fire or something so that I can make explosions like Sasuke? Naruto just chuckled sheepishly and rubbed the back of his neck. No? So come on and tell me already, what's so great about wind and what can I do with it? Asuma sighed. Having to defend his best element to this kid wasn't how he anticipated his training to go. Alright, wind, in my opinion, is the best element for you out of all of them. Fire is too wild for someone like you, lightning is too precise, water is too loose and flowing, and earth is too straightforward and set. With wind, it's the best way for you to fight, close to mid-range. How? Naruto asked him skeptically. Won't wind just blow stuff away from me? That's cool and all I guess, but I won't really beat anyone. I need to be close for my taijutsu to work and everything. Asuma shook his head. That's a misconception. While a lot of wind ninjutsu blow things around, there are more of them suited towards cutting things. He pointed towards a nearby tree and pulled out one of his trench knives. See that tree? Naruto nodded and Asuma threw it. As the weapon stuck itself into the tree, Naruto waited for something to happen, but it never did. That's it? He said, turning back to Asuma. If I knew how to throw that thing, I could have done that. Asuma pulled out his other trench knife. Fair enough. Okay, see this one? Naruto again nodded, but with less enthusiasm this time. Move. Naruto raised an eyebrow, but got up and moved towards Asuma, who threw the trench knife against the rock that Naruto had been standing by. The weapon split right through the stone, kicking up dust from the destroyed rock. Naruto pulled his goggles down over his eyes and pulled his headband in the style of bandana up over his mouth and nose until the dust cleared. That was awesome! Teach me how to do that! Can't yet, Asuma said. Learning how to manipulate the wind chakra you have takes work. You can't even generate your chakra the way it's supposed to be for that to even work. He told Naruto as he walked over and picked his trench knives up. So he couldn't learn how to cut through a rock like butter right off the bat. Okay, he could deal with that for the moment. Walk before you run after all. So if I'm not going to be doing that, Naruto said, pointing at the destroyed rock, then what am I going to be doing? Asuma turned his head up. Get a leaf. Naruto shrugged and ran up to the trunk of the tree they were under to retrieve a leaf as instructed before jumping down again. Now split it in half. Asuma fought the urge to facepalm when Naruto just ripped the leaf in two. Okay, that was my fault. I meant with your chakra. Naruto tilted his head hard to the right. Okay, how do I do that? Another leaf fell to the ground nearby and Asuma picked it up, holding it out for Naruto to see. For you, take your chakra and mold it into a cutting form. Just will your chakra to cut through the leaf. Because you've got the wind element, that's how it will work for you. He saw Naruto nod. Now it won't be as easy as it sounds, but you have your shadow clones. So I believe you'll be able to cut the time you normally need to do it down by a large amount. Alright, Naruto said, rubbing his hands together and forming the cross seal. Let's do this. Multi-shadow. Hey! Asuma cut Naruto off, forming his clones with a frown on his face. What did I tell you 5 days ago? He asked Naruto in a voice that sounded almost like he was scolding. Nothing, Naruto replied. All you told us to do all week long was to take the week off and rest. Exactly, Asuma said with his arms crossed over his chest. That wasn't just limited to doing missions and training exercises I'm meant to give you. That was also meant to mean you aren't supposed to train at all. What? Naruto couldn't believe that. I can't train at all? Yup, Asuma said. But it's for more than just making sure you get your rest. When we start training again, I'm going to give each of you solo tests to see where you've grown as individuals, since I already gave you your team test before we took our C-rank mission. He saw Naruto grumble about the order he was given. I didn't say you can't do anything. I just said no physical training. Let your body rest for a while. All you do is kill your body when you train. You're only human, kid. Naruto still didn't like it, even if it was just for the rest of the week. Well, what am I supposed to do for the rest of the time off then? I don't know. I can't tell you what to do for the rest of the time, the older man said before contributing a thought. Why not take up a book or something? He noticed Naruto glaring at him. What? What's wrong with that? Naruto kept his heated look at the Jonin. You were trying to be funny just now, weren't you? End flashback. And for the last few weeks, in the time that he and his team had been working on their missions, or going with exercise that Asuma had given them to improve as a team, Naruto had been doing his best to split a leaf when they were given time to train on their own things, which was what he had been doing at the moment. Yep, him and about 30 clones, all with leaves in their hands. Naruto and all of his replications were focusing hard on the leaves in their hands. The one thing Naruto could say after a few weeks of on and off working on his elemental manipulation training was that it was a lot of standing around and concentrating. But if doing this would lead to him picking up a new move or two, he would do it. Not everything could be exciting and over-the-top awesome all the time. With a grunt of exertion, Naruto stopped generating chakra and heaved out a few heavy breaths, looking over to where he saw the rest of his team sitting about. Naruto narrowed his eyes and walked over, getting a small chuckle out of Asuma. That's another reason why I felt your elemental training would go faster than most, because first learning how to use your element takes a lot of chakra, something you have no shortage of most of the time. He never looked up at Naruto as he had his eyes on a shogi board sitting between him and Shikamaru. Not this stupid game again, Naruto thought to himself. Okay, so he was kind of biased since he couldn't really play it. He understood the rules, but shogi just wasn't the game for him. It took too much patience, and he was too impulsive. Most of the time when he would play Asuma or Shikamaru, he would walk right into their traps that they had been setting up for 10 turns, while he would have been going around the board trying to pick off officer pieces. He could beat Ino more often than not, however, he had a habit of pulling off some surprising gambits that actually worked against someone of his own level. What are all of you doing? Kicking Asuma's ass. Shikamaru replied as dryly as ever as he moved another piece, putting in front of Asuma's face. Your turn. Asuma scratched his beard as he looked over his pieces. How in the hell have I not beaten you once yet? Naruto stopped paying attention to them and looked over at Ino, who was laying on the ground as if she were sleeping. Great. Yeah, I didn't know free training day to me meant chill out day for everyone else, he said as he walked over to Ino and crouched down in front of her, waving his hand in front of her face and getting no reaction. Ino, wake up. Ino is awake, Naruto, Asuma said, scowling over how Shikamaru was working him into a corner on the shogi board. She actually is training right now. Naruto blinked before opening his mouth in understanding. Oh, her clan jutsu. Where'd she go? There's nothing around here. Just when he said that, a bird landed on him and pecked at the top of his head 3 times. Oi! He almost managed to swat the bird, but it managed to fly away first. After a moment, once the bird landed in the tree that marked the center of their training ground, Ino's body then began to stir on the ground. You're so lucky you didn't hit me while I was in that bird, Naruto. Naruto looked at her as she sat up, rubbing her eyes. You can hit birds for that move? Ino nodded. Well, it did know I was coming. It's not that big of a deal. She then noticed that Naruto had stopped training and popped up to her feet quickly. Oh, there's something that I've always wanted to try, Naruto, and I need your help. Make a shadow clone. Naruto quickly did as she asked, and in a matter of seconds, a second Naruto was standing right next to her. Naruto quickly did as she asked, and in a matter of seconds, a second Naruto was standing right next to the original. So, what's up? What did you need? She made the hand seal for the mind-body switch jutsu. I wanted to see if I could take control of a clone, but you're the only person I know that makes tons of them the way you do. You shadow clone and most other solid clones have consciousnesses. That's why they can follow orders. I just want to see if this will work. Naruto nodded and moved away from his clone. Mind-body switch jutsu. Naruto's clone's head snapped back in an alert motion before slumping down while Ino's body fell back down to the ground in a heap. Even Asuma and Shikamaru stopped what they were doing to watch. Asuma was only thankful that Ino hadn't tried to take the real Naruto's body. What would happen in a clone body? Ino, inside the shadow clone, started looking at herself in Naruto's form, flexing the fingers and testing out the basic motor skills. Wow, Naruto's body is really rigid and stiff. Naruto gave her a dry look as she continued to go through the motions in his clone's body. Well, what did you expect, Ino? You're a girl. You're way lighter than me and all that other stuff. Yeah, I know, she said as she kept looking at her hands. But I can just feel how much stronger your body is than mine. It's kind of cool. I feel like I can lift anything right now. Asuma chimed in, putting his game with Shikamaru on hold for the moment. I really wouldn't do that though, Ino. Naruto's clones are pretty fragile. Too much strain on one and they'll pop. Then what'll happen to your mind? She looked over at Asuma and blinked. Well, it depends on what happens to the clone. If it just gets punched or something, then I'll go right back to my body. Only my body will take the damage from the punch. If I get stabbed or burned or whatever, then that will happen to my real body too. That made Naruto pale slightly. His clones took obscene amounts of punishment of the fatal variety. They were his buffers, and they were subtly how he knew how to avoid himself when he took to directly fighting his enemies. In the Land of Waves, Sasuke must have killed like 30 of them at least, in a rather heinous fashion. Okay, I don't think you should try using my clones for your jutsu, Ino. Get out of him now. Ino put her hands on her hips, which looked really weird inside of the body of one of Naruto's clones, but did as he asked and released her jutsu, allowing Naruto to step up the clone. What's the worst thing that could happen? Ino asked once she returned to her own body and sat up to look at Naruto. Naruto just deadpanned at her. Do you pay attention to the things that my clones do? They die harder than any real person does. She gave him a confused look. The way you just talked about my clone getting set on fire like it's not a big deal proves my point. Ino blushed when she realized that everyone had just been playing off the amounts of damage that Naruto's clones took regularly. Everyone on the team had been responsible for killing more than their fair share of them since the squad's inception. Sorry, Naruto. It's okay, I'm just looking out for you. He reassured her before grinning at her. After all, I have to protect my long-lost little sister, don't I? He said in humor, remembering his run-in with Ino's dad. Damn it, that better not stick with him, Ino thought to herself, although she could see that he was teasing her. If she reacted to it angrily or something, then he definitely would have kept calling her that just to mess with her. He was just being good-natured when he said it the way he was at the moment. Still, he'd better not start seeing her like that for real. Checkmate, Shikamaru said to Asuma before yawning. Asuma looked at the board from every angle he could find as he tried to figure out an excuse of some sort. Maybe if I... Nope. Shikamaru said with finality, cutting off whatever he was going to say. Yeah, but... It's over, Asuma. Shikamaru started putting all the pieces away. Lose some dignity, why don't you? Asuma finally sighed and conceded that he was still unable to beat Shikamaru at Shogi. What was with that kid? He had an answer for everything. It hadn't taken him long to figure out that Shikamaru was a genius, but to put it into action at a young age like this was something else entirely. Fine, dismissed for the day, he said in a defeated manner. We'll be taking another mission tomorrow, Asuma said as he slogged away in a dejected fashion. He looked at Asuma slowly leaving the training ground and turned to Shikamaru. I think you broke him. Shikamaru picked up a shogi board and smirked. Well, it was only a matter of time. I've beaten him like 37 times already. He started walking away as well. I'm gonna go see if Choji's done for the day too and see if he wants to hang out for a bit. Do either of you want to go? Ino shrugged. Why not? I was just gonna go home, but all I was gonna do is start to dip into my extra training, and I could do that anytime tonight for what I was gonna do for it. Sure. Naruto shook his head. Nope, sorry, not this time, he said, dispelling his clones and dropping to one knee because of the backlash. He quickly shook it off due to it not being that many and turned to his teammates. I've got to figure out how to cut this stupid leaf. It's killing me. Okay, Ino said, unsure of Naruto's intentions to keep training with something so hard after being dismissed for the day. If that's what you want, we'll see you tomorrow. Naruto smiled at both of them before disappearing in a puff of smoke. Shikamaru just shook his head. Show off. Is he still trying to look cool like on the first week? I thought he knew by now that guys like us aren't supposed to look cool when we do stuff. Ino shook her head, swinging her ponytail back and forth, slightly as she followed. A little effort wouldn't kill you. Maybe you could pull it off if you tried. Naruto's starting to anyway. Nah, Shikamaru said, shooting down her comment. For what? It's not gonna help me in the long run. Who cares if anyone thinks I'm cool? It's troublesome. Later, Hidden Leaf Ninja Academy. Konohamaru stood outside by a large bag of erasers as he clapped two together repeatedly, coughing every now and then. I said I was sorry, Iruka-sensei. That pepper extract fell into your mug by accident. Iruka stood nearby against the wall of the school overseeing his work. And why did you even have it on you in the first place? He asked with a protrude look on his face. It hadn't even been 6 months since his last prankster had left the academy. He'd be damned if he had another one starting honing their skills on his watch. No way, not again. Lunch? Konohamaru said desperately. That's a no-go, huh? Iruka nodded and the boy sighed, continued to clap erasers and cough until a hand pulled the goggles on his forehead down over his face. Huh? So you can at least see what you're doing without getting dust in your eyes. Konohamaru looked up and saw someone else with goggles over their eyes and a bandana around their nose and mouth with the village insignia on a metal plate. If I said that this is about half the reason I bought goggles in the first place, would that seem about right, Iruka-sensei? Iruka smirked and chuckled. Well, how am I supposed to know what made you go and buy those weird things one day? He said as he walked from the wall over to Konohamaru. Long time no see, Naruto. Naruto pulled the cloth down from his face and grinned widely, getting Konohamaru to point up at him suddenly. Whoa! Boss was with a new look! It's not really new, Naruto said, pulling his goggles back onto his forehead and tugging the bandana around his neck. I just thought this would be more useful if I wore it this way. No way, not just that, Konohamaru said abruptly. I haven't seen you forever. You've got this new look and everything. The clothes and all that. Just because you look stronger doesn't mean anything. I'm still gonna beat you really soon. You'll see. He waved his little fist at Naruto aggressively. Naruto shook his head in amusement and turned to Iruka. Iruka-sensei, I was just wondering if you could help me really quick. Iruka saw how serious Naruto's face was and he looked down at Konohamaru. Alright, Konohamaru, you're done for the day. Since this is your first offense, you can go home. And there better not be next time, or else I'll have you clean every last eraser in the school. He threatened to the small boy, who nodded fervently. Okay. He hurriedly dropped the erasers in his hands and ran towards the edge of the schoolyard before stopping. Hey, help me soon, boss. I've got some people that want to meet you, he said before taking off, not really into the whole staying after school scene. Iruka sighed as he watched his current student leave the grounds. It hasn't even been a year yet and I can already tell he's going to be a handful. Not as much as you, but still. He turned to Naruto. So what is it you need, Naruto? Do you have my jutsu down? Naruto grinned. Yep, I'm getting better with it. I can sense stuff that's like 100 yards away, and I can even read signs and other stuff too. It then fell from his face. But that's not why I'm here, Iruka-sensei. I was wondering, what do you know about training in elemental affinity? Iruka smiled when he heard what Naruto was practicing. That's a pretty advanced form of chakra control. You're saying you can water walk and all that? Naruto nodded and Iruka let off an impressed sound. Well, this is coming from the kid that couldn't focus long enough to balance a leaf on his head. Good for you. He then pondered Naruto's question. Well, something like this isn't supposed to happen overnight. Naruto nodded. I know, and I already know what I'm supposed to be trying to think about when I try creating the wind chakra. My chakra as sharp and as thin as I can make it, like the edge of a blade. Iruka scratched the scar on the bridge of his nose as he thought of how to answer. Well, there aren't any tips on how to get it down faster. It is what it is. All you can do now is work until you get it. Letting out a sigh, Naruto placed his hand behind his head and squinted his eyes. Yeah, but there are so many people out there stronger than me, Iruka-sensei. I mean, just with the last big mission I had, it was a close call. If we were fighting a different person, then Ino and Shikamaru might have died. By now, he was over it. Way over it. It had happened. They actually all walked away from the fight in one piece. There was nothing more to dwell on. That still didn't mean he couldn't use it as a lesson that there were still going to be people out there stronger than him. Iruka placed his hand on top of Naruto's head. You're still a rookie, Naruto. You've got all the time in the world to get better, and from the looks of things, you're improving quickly. Just take your time. There's no rush at all. I don't want to see you go overboard and burn yourself out. Naruto moved Iruka's hand from his head with a smile. Alright, Iruka-sensei, but you won't ever have to worry about me burning out. I can't stop until I get to Hokage, can I? Hearing the confidence that seemed lacking earlier slip back into Naruto's voice after his question time was done, Iruka smiled back at his former student. Of course you can. Good luck. And remember, you can always come back and ask me anything. Naruto nodded and gave Iruka a two-finger salute before making the ram seal and disappearing in a puff of smoke. You can do that already? Whoa. The next day, Asuma and his team stood in the room where missions were accepted, and he noticed the team's eyes harden as they were handed another C-rank mission from the pile. Calm down, you guys. This is a C-rank, not an A-rank like the backup mission we went on. Asuma took the scroll provided for them and led them outside where he stood in front of them and read the mission to them. Alright, we'll be back in a week, just like how we were supposed to be the last time. He heard Ino scoff. I said like how we're supposed to be. Anyway, this one should be pretty easy. Shikamaru by now was skeptical of whenever anyone said that things would be easy by now, because nothing was ever easy, at least by his standards. So then, what are we doing? It's just another simple little transport job, nothing out of your scope to be able to handle. Asuma said, motioning for them to follow him. Let's go get what we're supposed to be taking. Naruto, Ino, and Shikamaru were all positioned in front of a large cart hauling hundreds of pounds of lumber. All three Genin were pulling the materials down the path towards where they were going. Naruto ran an exertion before speaking. Where is this farm? Asuma walked alongside the cart, keeping watch for any signs of someone looking to boost their hardware for a quick buck, letting his eyes drift towards his Genin team every few moments. You guys holding up okay? Do you need a break? Yes, Shikamaru said immediately, getting a glare from both Naruto and Ino, who weren't about to be stuck doing this for a few more extra hours because one of them was lazy. The sooner this ended for them, the better. No! Naruto and Ino said simultaneously, even though, in all honesty, she could have used one after pushing the cart for several hours. Ino wasn't going to stop first, but looking over at Naruto, other than the fact of actually forcing the cart to move, which was at this point basically them using their momentum, Naruto didn't seem fazed at all by the rather hard physical labor. He was always like that, and the other day when Ino took over his clone body, well, she had never felt so much chakra in her entire life. Inside of his body, there was so much energy that she couldn't even stand still, which is why she kept looking all over his body spastically. She was about to take off into a run and do something in it until Naruto asked her to go back into her own body. And the thing about it was, the shadow clone required him to split his chakra evenly between the clones that he made, which means that the single clone he made had half of his chakra, which meant that all the energy she felt wasn't even all of it. She couldn't imagine how Naruto felt all the time if that were the case. No wonder he thought he could have kept training after they were dismissed that day. Naruto chuckled as he continued to keep the cart moving forward alongside his teammates. Come on, Shikamaru, it's just walking. We're just dragging stuff while we're doing it. Shikamaru rolled his eyes. Do you not feel the 400 pounds that we're dragging behind us? Oh, who was he kidding? With all three of them pulling at the same time, of course, Naruto didn't feel it. Both he and Ino could carry at least a good 100 pounds all on their own, and Naruto was at least twice as strong as they were. Not to mention the fact that he had more energy than the least power substations on his worst day. Where the hell did he get so much energy? It was always that way, even back in school. Naruto was never seen training to get his stamina up above anyone else's, but he was just able to purely outlast everyone else during the physical exercises they did to condition the students for the things they would do as shinobi. Naruto was giving him a headache, making him think about all this stuff, but since all they were doing was hauling a cart, he had plenty of time to think.
It was good for you.
Asuma said about them dragging the cart.
When was the last time you all did anything physical like this anyway? Just think about how good of the trip back will feel without the cart, and that will make you feel better.
With that being said, the only sound coming from the intermediate area was the sound of the cart's wooden wheels bumping along the road. After a few minutes, Naruto sighed and spoke again, filling in the silence of the ordinary C-rank mission. Seriously, Asuma-sensei, where is this farm?
Village hidden in the leaves, Hokage Tower.
Hiruzen looked over the correspondence from the message that had been sent to the hidden grass. It was much the same as the response that he had been receiving from other villages. The idea of carrying out the Chunin exams in the Leaf this year did not appeal to any of the other villages, and there was no other location that the villages could all agree upon. None of the 5 major villages felt like going to any of the others this year to allow their game to compete. The old man furrowed his brow as he tried to think of a solution, as the location had to be finalized within the next month, or else, this time around it wouldn't be happening, as at least another month would be needed for preparation.
This won't do. All this back and forth over the matter won't solve anything. What is needed is a neutral site for the exams to take place this time around. A place that none of the other villages can complain about, and joint proctors can be provided from each village. A place that won't tolerate anything other than complete impartiality over the issue.
This might solve another problem of accused bias from the hosting villages that inevitably came through year to year, and in all honesty, quite a bit of it was well founded. Even if it hadn't been intended, there was never really a level playing field. Whenever coded messages were used that needed to be deciphered, it was always a code that the host village was already well vested in. Battlefields were usually well suited for use by the hosting competitors Genin due to how they had trained for the duration of their careers. There were a myriad of ways that each time bias was founded, and sometimes a Genin passing the exam and getting promoted wound up being because of the village they were in to take the exam in the first place. It wasn't a perfect solution, but it was better than arguing back and forth and wasting valuable time that could be better served to set things up. Now, even if the proposition was accepted, it was still to be clear with a third party, the country that would be the host of the exams. If everything fell into place as it should, then the place could be finalized in a matter of around 2 weeks, leaving 6 to 8 weeks for everything else to come together. Plenty of time. Hiruzen smiled triumphantly. It would go through as no one would have any reason for things to not proceed as he would suggest. After all, there was no more neutral nation around than the Land of Iron. With this fact in his head, Hiruzen began writing out a reply to continue the correspondence and a proposal to all the villages that would be potentially sending teams. With things the way they were now, this had the potential to be the largest shooting exam that had ever been put together. A letter needed to be put out to all the villages now. This could be a major event seen worldwide, a boon to each participating village's economy and then some. A true joint meeting of the best of the best, from the future shinobi of the elemental nations. With Team 10, within the Land of Fire. It had been a day of travel as the Genin team and their Jonin sensei continued on towards their destination. And even though Naruto's clockwork cry of "where is this farm" was starting to grate on more than a few nerves, Ino and Shikamaru had to agree with him in wondering just where the hell this farm was. And their moods didn't improve in the slightest when they found that the farm they were meant to bring the lumber to was positioned in the middle of a rather plentiful forest. It was like a slap across the face to the 3 kids hauling the materials, especially Shikamaru, who had actually deemed it necessary to exert himself dragging that crap all over for an entire day. "Where is this farm, damn it?" Naruto growled out for what seemed like the 1,000th time for the span of their mission. Asuma still stayed supervising the trio of Genin as they dragged the cart across the forested road.
It's close. Just keep on going. If you look hard enough, you can see through the trees. It's more of a ranch, Naruto.
Naruto mumbled as he kept on working. This was like a D-rank mission, except they actually had to travel a ways outside the village to get it done. Farm, ranch, whatever. I can't say anything, Asuma-sensei. I can't even get anything with my chakra echolocation jutsu. All I get are trees. These woods are pretty thick.
Which brings us to part 2 of our mission,
Asuma said as he pulled the scroll dictating their mission parameters.
After we deliver the lumber we've been hired to transport, we're to stay back and protect the livestock and other animals until they can put up the fence that they need to build. That should take a few days.
Shikamaru sighed in relief. That sounded good to him. Just watching animals for a few days and nothing else sounded pretty laid back to him. Thank goodness the harder part was about to end. And just as Asuma said, it didn't take much longer for them to finish making their way through the forest to find themselves in a clear-cut area, rather large, with pretty good sized house in the middle of a property near a farmhouse. Near the farmhouse, there were tons of penned animals, cattle, a lot of cattle. The team finished pulling the cart up to the front of the farmhouse as a young-looking black-haired man in a plain brown shirt and tan pants walked outside overlooking the beginning, bringing the things into a stop. As soon as they stopped pulling the cart, Shikamaru walked out away a few feet and fell out directly on the ground, staring up at the sky from his back.
Finally done.
The man that they had brought the materials to chuckled as he walked towards them. Well, you leaf ninjas sure work fast. I wasn't expecting you all here till at least this evening. You all got here bright and early this morning. Asuma grinned at his team, Ino leaning against the cart, tired from dragging the thing all over a day, and Naruto, who yawned as if this was just a warm-up for the day and he was still waking up.
Well, there's no reason to go slow if we can actually keep a faster pace, right? It wasn't that far from the leaf.
The man rubbed the back of his head. Yeah, but I don't have any workers here except for me and my little cousins, and they would have been all kinds of use when it came to dragging that stuff, even though they're just as old as your team here. By the way, Shinobi-san, my name is Kojima Katachi. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise,
Asuma said, grabbing his hand and shaking it heartily.
I am Saratobi Asuma, and these are my Guinea. The boy on the ground is Naruto Shikamaru, the girl is Yamanaka Ino, and the blonde boy is Uzumaki Naruto.
Who's outside? A youthful male voice called out from inside the house as footsteps sounded out towards the front door. And these are my cousins that I had been talking about, Katachi said, gesturing minutely towards the door. The first person outside was a boy around the kid's age, with black hair and a straw hat on his head. He wore blue jeans and a dust-colored shirt that had a look of a poncho. This is Shigeru. He looked towards said male younger cousin. Where's your sister? It's about time to start the day. She's inside. Do you think she'd actually be out here or somewhere else? Shigeru said as he walked down the stairs of the porch looking at the new arrivals. Who the hell are they? His eyes tapped on Ino, however, who wasn't paying the least bit of attention to him beyond seeing who had asked about them. Katachi pointed at the leaf ninja with a smile. These are the shinobi I hired to bring the lumber up here and watch over the cattle until the fence is built since you and Kiyomi fought so hard not to drive the last of the stuff I bought back here. He finished chidingly. That was a seriously long trip back here, Shigeru complained. And you want us to drag that stuff all that way? What are we, the cattle we keep? Oi! Naruto and Ino replied indignantly at being compared to cattle. Shikamaru didn't respond because he was busy catching up with the sleep that he had missed during that morning, right there on the ground. Who's cattle? Shigeru waved his hands in front of his face indignantly and hurriedly made his way over to Ino. I didn't mean you, of course. No way, I was just saying... Why is he just trying to apologize to her? Naruto said to himself. He insulted all three of us. Right, Shikamaru? He looked over at Shikamaru, who was on his back with his eyes closed on the ground. If you don't stop acting like you're asleep, I'm gonna draw on your face again. Shikamaru immediately sat up with a groan. Damn you, Naruto. Can a guy take a break? His response was a fleet kick to the side from said blonde. Bastard. Yes, I'm a bastard, Naruto said, shrugging his shoulders and kicking Shikamaru playfully 3 more times. Or have you met my father? Itachi turns towards the house and yelled through the open door. Kiyomi, get out here already! I already let you 2 sleep late today because the supplies are still getting here. I'm coming! A girl's voice yelled from inside before rapid footsteps made it outside. A girl with black hair, like Shigeru and Katachi, appeared on the front steps, only hers had been done in twin braids down her back. She wore jean shorts that came to her thighs and a white shirt over a jean vest to go along with the white boots and gloves. Is it time to work already? She said, blocking a yawn from coming forth. You've got it, Katachi said. Meet the group of ninja that will be keeping hope. You've got it, Katachi said. Meet the group of ninja that will be keeping watch over the cattle until everything is done. The leader, Asuma-san, and the Guinea under his command, Ino, Shikamaru, and Naruto. Shigeru grinned at Ino lecherously. So your name is Ino, is it? It's fitting for someone as pretty as you. Yeah, I guess, she said with a sigh. It really didn't as far as she was concerned, and she could tell already that this was going to be a long few days. Naruto grabbed Shikamaru by the back of his vest and yanked him to his feet. Say hi, Shikamaru, even you can do that. Kiyomi had a light blush on her face as she studied Shikamaru. So, you're here to help us out for a few days? Shikamaru looked over at Naruto, who gave him a look saying that he was just as lost as he was. So, what can you tell me about yourself? Like, what do you like to do? Who cares? Shikamaru thought as he took a few steps back. Nothing. I don't like doing anything, he said. Kiyomi frowned when Naruto spoke up. He's seriously telling the truth. He doesn't like doing anything. He then recoiled slightly when he felt the girl's glare on him. I wasn't asking you, she growled out before changing back to a sweet tone and looking at Shikamaru. I was asking Shikamaru-kun here. Naruto felt rather offended at how he had been treated not even 5 minutes into meeting these people, and then finally noticed Shigeru hitting on Ino as she sadly ignored him and tried blowing him off. With a sigh, he walked over to Asuma and Katachi, shaking his head. This is going to be a long goddamn mission, isn't it? Sorry about that, Katachi said to the shorter blonde boy. My aunt and uncle gave me the money to buy this land and cattle to start my business on the condition that I would take my little cousins and show them the concept of hard work. It hasn't really worked though, since they're both kind of brats, Naruto suggested, turning around to see his 2 unfortunate teammates and the 2 siblings that had apparently found love at first sight. Asuma palmed his face at Naruto's choice of words. What? We were all thinking it. I just said it out loud. Katachi crossed his arms over his chest. Well, he's not really that far off to be honest. But today, they're going to be working their tails off because now that we have all the lumber I sent out for, we can get to building the property gate around the farm. Naruto looked up at Asuma, who knew what Naruto wanted to ask.
No, he didn't pay for you guys to build the fence as well. He just paid for us to transfer materials and guard the cattle until everything was all up.
Hearing that, Naruto's eyes lit up. So, other than watching the cattle, we don't have anything else to do. If all he had to do was babysit some stupid cows for a few hours, and in return, he could do whatever he wanted, then maybe he could get in some training and make this trip a little productive.
That's right.
Asuma said before he found that Naruto had darted away to the pen holding the cattle, shouting that he had the first watch shift at the top of his lungs, speeding past his teammates. Wow, Katashi said, as he could still see the dust that Naruto had kicked up from running towards the pen. Good little ethic in that one. He scratched his head and called out to his cousins. Shigeru, Kiyomi, help the Naruto kid get the cattle out to graze around the area, and then you can help me get to work on putting up the fence around the property. The two younger family members of Katashi jolted to attention and ran off to do as instructed. Asuma called his getting over and gave him the rundown of how things would go.
Naruto's watching the cattle first while they graze. It'll either be one or the other's job after this afternoon and early in the evening. Any questions?
Ino and Shikamaru shook their heads to show that they didn't have any.
Until then, you two can do whatever you want. Just be ready for your shift. You can both decide who gets that one.
Shikamaru waved and went off to find a quiet spot. What was that, Asuma? Did you say?
Go ahead and find a quiet spot to catch some Z's, Shikamaru. Naruto will find you and kick you away when it's your turn.
I'm way ahead of you. Ino watched her lazier teammate leave and she turned her attention back to her sensei. Well, while I'm waiting for something to do, I think she sets out a poison I made on myself. Asuma went wide-eyed at her.
You made a poison? He then picked up the second half of what she said. You're gonna test it on yourself? What the hell is wrong with you? You're on a mission. This is no time to build up an immunity to something.
Ino laughed slightly. It's a weak numbing poison, Asuma-sensei. I wouldn't use anything worse than that. I can't even make the good stuff yet. She then scowled. Though maybe I should use the hallucinogen. It would really make dealing with that punk Shigeru more amusing later. Asuma weighed the benefits of Ino walking around to her shift either physically numb or mentally out of it and figured that the latter was more dangerous for everyone.
Why don't you save that second one till you get back home?
He didn't want her to potentially go berserk because she was building an immunity to something.
You can use the first one if you're sure it'll wear off by the time you have to go and watch.
Ino nodded brightly. I'm not sure how long it'll take to wear off since I don't know for sure, but it won't last any longer than a few hours, I'm sure. Maybe a day. On second thought, if Ino were out of commission for a bit, then Shikamaru would have to do actual work.
Do you have the antidote?
Ino pulled it out of her supply pouch and presented it to him.
Then you might as well do it now.
He shooed her off and rubbed his temple.
A slacker with a genius IQ and no desire to actually use it. A loudmouth that can steal your body and then poison it. And the single most impulsive Guinea in the leaf. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you Team 10.
He said, starting a slow clap for the benefit of no one. Katashi's sweat dropped and gave him a dry look. Are they really that bad? And right on cue, woo! Naruto yelled, waving a machete around wildly as he chased a herd of cattle out into the open fields with a bunch of his shadow clones. I've been drinking green tea all goddamn morning. I pray to God every goddamn Sunday. You gonna bring out the demons in me. Yeah, bitch, yeah. Asuma didn't even visibly respond, having become more or less accustomed to it by now. While on the other hand, Katashi was staring at Naruto and his clones in horror.
Naruto, don't you injure any of those cattle with that damn thing. That's money you're scaring the hell out of.
Asuma yelled to him before placing a cigarette in his own mouth and lighting it. I know! He yelled back to his sensei before turning a manic grin to the cattle. I want some steak with my next meal, damn it. Believe it. Get in my ramen. Turning back to Katashi, Asuma offered him a cigarette, only for the man to robotically shake his head as he saw his cousins walk after in an effort to keep pace with Naruto.
I wonder how well he can even use that thing. He's never asked me about it.
He mused mostly to himself. Katashi waved his arms frantically at his cousins. Get the horses, don't try to follow them on foot, you guys. That ninja kid is way faster than you, don't let them run free like that. Tears started streaming down his face. Why is good help so hard to find? He cried desperately. Asuma blew out a plume of smoke and patted the younger man on the back.
Because first of all, you aren't paying for it. Cheer up, it's not that bad. Hours later.
Naruto stood by the grazing cattle with a leaf in his hand while the sounds of stakes being hammered into the ground rang out. While Katachi would dig holes for the poles, Shigeru would set them and hammer them in, and Kion would place the fence portions in while they kept working. Why isn't Ninja Boy here helping us? He's about as useful as a poop-flavored lollipop, Shigeru said out loud. Because we didn't pay him to, so this isn't his job, Katachi said as his shovel kept forming holes for the fence posts. All he's doing is making sure the cattle don't wander off while they graze and get hurt. Those clone things of his are doing a great job of that. If he wants to dare to leave, he can do that. Naruto got a tick mark on his head, but they weren't shinobi. How would they know that he was training? All he had to do was focus on his training. Split the leaf, sharper, thinner, get it stronger the way he needed it to be. He was going to get this down in no time. He just knew it. Shigeru then commented again. I wish his teammate was here, the hot one, Ino. Naruto rolled his eyes and tried to ignore him. Did you see her playing hard to get? I wish my Shikamaru-kun was here, Kiyomi said rather dreamily with a sigh. His attitude is so hot. He acts so detached, but I know he's a softie, and I know he'd help us out without any questions. Naruto's eyes start to twitch. I'm not getting paid for this. I don't like any of you enough to help except for maybe Katashi. He's alright. Besides, if that girl thought Shikamaru would lift a finger to help out, she obviously didn't know a damn thing about the guy. She'd probably be one of those girls that would gaga over Sasuke back in the Leaf if she thought Shikamaru's attitude was cool. Alright, focus on the job, you guys, Katashi said as he moved on to digging another hole, his pace far outworking the others by this time. The faster we work, the sooner we finish up. As long as this fence isn't up, the cattle can wander off easier in the middle of grazing, and from there, who knows what can happen to them. Kiyomi shook her head as she went to grab some more lumber. I don't know why you decided to do this with your life, Katashi. Our parents would have kept supporting you. We never really saw why you wanted to raise cattle like this. Katashi frowned. Because I wanted to make my own way in the world, not ride along my family's coattails. How can I mooch when your parents did so much for me already after my own died? I'm going to make my own money, and I'm going to pay them back for everything they've done for me. You've got to learn how to do things for yourself once in a while. I still don't get it. Shigeru whispered to his sister, who nodded. He doesn't have to do this. It seems really useless to me. He's doing it for himself, Naruto said to the both of them, surprising that he had been listening. He's trying to prove that he's his own person and that people can rely on him. I kind of know where he's coming from on that. As they thought about what both Naruto and Katashi had said, Shikamaru came up and tapped Naruto on the shoulder. Hey, your shift is over. I'm taking the late afternoon and early evening shift. Naruto looked at Shikamaru and tilted his head. Really? You're actually taking a shift? Did Ino threaten you? He questioned. Shikamaru frowned. Hardly. It's really that unbelievable that I came out here on my own will? Naruto gave him a deadpan look in return. Okay. Ino can barely move because she's apparently building up an immunity to something. It's not close to being fatal, but she has terrible mobility and wouldn't be any good trying anything with herding these cattle back into the pen. Naruto grinned and patted Shikamaru on the shoulder. Well, in that case, have fun looking out for the cows. You saw them all the way here, and I'm just going to dispel my clones because I'm training. I need all the chakra. Naruto almost skipped away. He was so happy to leave the area. Shikamaru-kun! Kiyomi shouted out to him, waving happily. Would you mind helping us out with this? Yeah, I would, Shikamaru said as he turned around to watch the cattle graze. This wouldn't actually be that bad until it was time to put them back into their pen. Watching these cattle would be right up his alley, he thought to himself, as he sat down in the grass and watched. He had a lot of things to ponder about anyway, like Naruto. After months of being on the same team, he had yet to figure out what made Naruto tick exactly. The kid was a mystery, and there was no clues in his reach. He's so cool, Kiyomi said, getting his attention. So calm and aloof. I wonder what he's thinking, Shikamaru heard her say. A hidden location, the Land of Fire. Do you know how much money all that guy's cattle will bring us? A man said before cackling maniacally. He's just a baby rancher. The guy probably doesn't even have the heart to brand any of those things. If he's the guy running the place, then taking those stupid things will be easier than taking candy from a screaming brat. Be quiet, Kay. Don't think about the money we'll get until we take the livestock. Then once we sold them off, you could think about it. Oh, you're so boring, Manabu. The cackling voice of Kay said again. Can't you let a guy fantasize about living large for a moment, you big stick in the mud? Now, brothers. A third, calm and authoritative voice said, getting the other two to pay attention to him. It won't matter after tonight, because Kay's daydream will be real. This little ranch hand and his little brat cousins won't dare raise a hand against the Unikawa brothers.
Yes,
sure
Satoshi Oni-sama.
Both Kay and Manabu said respectively. Satoshi chuckled softly. Now, my dear brothers, prepare for the night. We move on that little ranch to the end. That night, Kojima Ranch. Stop messing with that leaf, Naruto, Ino said in a rather strained voice as she slowly stood up from the kitchen table inside of Katashi's house. Naruto was sitting down across from her, staring at the leaf like the world had ended with it. You've been trying to cut it all afternoon since you came back in. Naruto looked up from the leaf at the blonde girl sitting across from him. Yeah, well, you've been sitting there all day doing nothing. Ino's eye twitched as the feeling started coming back to her body quicker than before. I used more poison than I thought. You should have known that when you sat here and tickled me for 10 minutes when you first walked in, you bastard. And there was nothing that she could have done since he and her were the only ones in the house. It for Awesome wouldn't have done any good. A seductive smirk came over her face after thinking about it for a moment. Did you like touching my body like that, Naruto? Naruto's face started turning red. You're wearing bandages under your clothes. I didn't really touch anything, he muttered, turning away from her. Ino batted her eyes at him to tease him further. That's no excuse, you liar. If you couldn't feel anything, you wouldn't have done it for so long. Even when you do stuff like that, you're so gentle with me. It's so sweet how you take care of your Ino-chan. I always knew you're the more responsible one to put in charge of my body. Tickle her when she couldn't fight back, would he? It's a good thing that no matter what, she'd always push his buttons like this. Stop saying stuff like that, damn it, Naruto said, pulling his bandana up over his face to cover his red cheeks. It's not fair. I can't do this kind of stuff to you. Ino sauntered over to him as he had his back turned and draped herself over his back and the back of his chair. Why? What's wrong with touching me? I'm just your long-lost little sister, aren't I? She then lowered her voice to a whisper as she put his bandana back down to his neck. You've never done anything wrong with my body while I wasn't in it, have you, Goldie-kun? Naruto was about to yell at her, but found that he couldn't muster up the voice to do it. Just the tone of voice Ino used made him shiver. In his opinion, she just had to find a way to use that in her fighting. Although, maybe that would only be effective against him. I'm not hearing a no. Ino tried it further, right next to his ear. You big perv. Not a perv, Naruto growled out as footsteps from upstairs eventually led to Kiyomi walking in, and Ino slipping back into her seat, almost unnoticed by Naruto. The lack of her pleasant scent in his sinuses was his only initial indication. And the extremely satisfied look she had on her face due to making the last few moments very hard for him was very hard to ignore, especially when she winked at him. Kiyomi walked in and placed her hands on her hips with a pout. Where's Shikamaru-kun? He should have come in by now. Even Katashi came in. Naruto and Ino both frowned at her. Naruto's was far more pronounced though. Katashi let them stop for a short rest and for a little snack, and they had never gone back outside, even when he did. Ino stood up from her chair and headed towards the outside. He's probably bumming around somewhere outside. I'll go find him. I need to walk anyway, she said, cracking her back stiff from her numbing poison. I'll just stretch my legs a bit. Go ahead. I'll just keep trying to split this. He looked at the leaf in his hand, crumbled from when Ino had been making him hot under the collar. God damn it, he muttered before standing up and leaving Kiyomi in the house as well as he went out the back. If you see him, tell Asuma Sensei I went to take a walk and get another leaf. I'll be back in like 10 or 20 minutes. With Ino. Come on, you lazy jerk, where are you? Ino asked rhetorically, not really expecting any kind of answer as she walked outside. She had gone all around the pens and she already knew that Shikamaru wasn't in the house. Are you really gonna make me look all over for you? He hadn't been seen since he somehow got all the cattle back into their pen, though she was sure that Katashi did most of the work there. As Ino walked out away from where the cattle pens were placed away from the barn and ranch house out into the open fields, she figured he must have taken the time after putting the animals up to hang out and look at the clouds. He probably fell asleep outside or something. She thought with a humorous smile. Well, hello there, Ino-chan. She cringed when she heard that voice. What are you doing out here all by yourself? Ino turned around and put a strange smile on her face. Hello, Shigeru. I'm just taking a little walk and stretching my legs out a bit, she said, but her thoughts were quite different. Go away. You're not nearly good looking enough for the fact that you're a brat and have a shitty attitude. Shigeru walked around with his hands in his pockets, trying to look cool. Yeah, I guess if I had to deal with that blonde kid all the time, I'd want to take a break when I could too. You had to spend most of the day with the guy. I could barely take 4 hours around him. Ino got a tick mark on her head when she heard him start talking about who she knew to be Naruto. The guy's so weird. I can't even believe he's a ninja. He's shorter than me, he said with a small laugh. I don't know how someone like you could stand being around the guy. I can stand being around the guy because he's a friend. I can stand him because he makes being around this team fun, because he thinks we're more important than him. Naruto's 4 times the man you ever meet, you stupid punk. Shorter than you or not. It's not even by that much. We're not old enough for it to matter. Ino thought to herself as she held her teeth tight. Shigeru obviously didn't sense Ino's disdain for him, so why don't you spend your time with me? You shouldn't be all by yourself, even if I could understand why you'd want to be. Ino furrowed her brow rather angrily. Didn't this guy get it yet? If she had given a damn and had shown the least little bit of interest in the jerk, she would have said something hours ago. Look, I'm really busy right now. I can't really socialize. I'm on a mission. Hey, now wait just a damn minute, Shigeru said, forcefully reaching out and grabbing hold of Ino's arm. You should listen to me. And laying a hand on her was his mistake. When fighting Naruto, she was outclassed, but that was Naruto, and she'd pay money to see any genin go head-to-head with Naruto and see how they did. Shigeru wasn't Naruto. He wasn't even close to being as strong, and his grip was like someone wrapped a cobweb around a wrist. Without even registering what had happened, Shigeru found himself face first against the ground, with a mouth full of grass and dirt as Ino had a knee in his back and his arm bit behind him. Don't touch me, you toad! I don't appreciate you trying to cut down my teammate, and I don't want you hitting on me. Now go back to the house before you get yourself hurt and stop thinking with that thing between your legs. We're 12, you idiot, she said as she let him go and walked away. She almost snapped his arm like a twig. What the fuck was he thinking trying to lay a single hand on her? Shigeru sat up, spitting up the soil he had taken a big bite out of when Ino slammed him to the ground. What's your problem, you bitch? He shut his mouth when a kunai nearly deposited itself, blade first in the space between his legs, on the ground. Please, go back to the damn house and leave me alone, Ino said to him in a sickeningly sweet voice that actually put a chill down his spine. She had her back turned to him, although she didn't walk forward another step. Now! She didn't turn around to see, but she could hear him clamber to his feet and run away from her at full speed. Once she was sure he had gotten far away, she let out a sigh and brushed her bang out of her face. Okay, now I really do need to take a walk. If I see that asshole again before I go back to the house, I might do something I have to pay for later. She took pride in her appearance, as did many kunoichi, but the phrase, look but don't touch, could never have been more fitting for another group of women than female ninja. What exactly was Shigeru's grand plan? Hope she didn't tell anyone after he tried to force himself on her? Even if she had been able to defend herself, there was still the fact that after he had gotten away or taken advantage of her, Asuma, Shikamaru, and Naruto would have ripped his innards out with their bare hands for it. They were paid to protect the cattle, not the punk kid that was supposed to work on the ranch. Ino stopped walking and stewing in anger when she heard a squish under one of her feet. She looked down and paled when she saw that she had stepped in something dark brown that she hadn't seen due to it being dark out. Ew, that better not be what I think it is. Stupid ranch. She lifted her foot only to find it stuck fast to the ground. What the? It was at that point that she began to hear cackling from the open space. Who's there?
Well, I was hoping to use one of those rancher brats as a hostage to make sure we got away clean, or at least use my juice to slow down any pursuit attempts. But looks like I caught something way prettier.
A man said as he walked over to Ino with his hands in his pockets. He had long, spiky brown hair that traveled down to his back all the way to his knees, and he seemed hunched over somewhat. He wore no shirt and loose brown pants with black sandals on his feet. Who the hell are you? Ino asked, trying to buy time, as she was trying to pull her foot free from whatever it was stuck in. Maybe she could get enough time to shimmy her foot out of the sandal. The man stopped and grinned maniacally at her before bowing in a grand gesture.
Where are my manners?
He said before breaking into rather loud laughter.
My name is Unikawa K, a rogue ninja and all-around friendly guy at your service.
Ino narrowed her eyes at him.
Another missing ninja.
She opened her mouth to keep him talking. What do you want? Why'd you want a hostage?
K cackled again. Well, me and my two older brothers were looking to liberate these lovely cattle from this upstart wannabe rancher punk, you know? Get him with someone that probably deserves the profits they net. Like us.
You're a thief, Ino accused him, still trying to subtly work her foot free.
Thief, bandit, crook, outlaw. I personally prefer being called a desperado, quite personally.
K said as he held back his laughter.
I swear, you and your brother steal a few kinjus from your village and suddenly get so hard to make a living. Though I guess the people trying to kill you would do that to you, huh?
He pulled his hands from his pockets to reveal a claw weapon on his right hand.
Now it's time to come with me and all the livestock that my brothers made away with, my dear.
Yeah, I'll do that, Ino said, just as she finally worked her foot free of the substance she had been caught in, and she drew a kunai.
Not? Ooh, feisty,
K said as he jumped back to stay away from Ino.
But do you think I anticipated someone walking into that exact spot only? Keep your eyes open, girlie.
Ino looked down and saw that she was about to step in another pile of whatever it was she had stepped in the first time and stopped abruptly. Kay smirked and took advantage of her misstep, driving a kick hard into her body that sent her flying back across the ground.
Oops, I guess you should have been looking at me after all, huh? Sorry.
Ino attempted to get back up only to find herself stuck to the ground by her forearm that held her kunai.
What now?
Kay laughed loudly when he saw her stuck again.
My stolen jutsu. Skillful sticky splatter. I can form a material inside of my body and then use it to set traps or hold my enemies down, or whatever I want. It's like rubber cement, you won't break it by just pulling on it.
The way she was trapped, her kunai was stuck as well, so she couldn't even try to cut herself free. Ino slipped her trapped arm out of her arm warmer.
Okay, if this isn't good, I'm far away from the house. There's gotta be some way to tell my team where I am. In the meantime, he's so much faster than me though. Just slow him down somehow.
She thought as Kay ran towards her again. Kay had his claw drawn back, ready to strike.
I'll cut a few chunks out of that body of yours. It doesn't matter as long as you're alive to be a hostage for us.
Ino would often hide in her evasiveness in spars, but the fact was she had no business in a taijutsu battle. And now instead of just having to deal with fists, she had a contest against a claw. No thank you. She didn't want any part of that. Ino, now disarmed, had to find a new way to fend off a few strikes from the Zerk K, who took a sniff of the air and grew more depraved looking than before.
A blonde, from the leaf by the looks of the thing around your waist, and you smell heavily of flowers, of all kinds, seemingly mixed together. You wouldn't have to be a Yamanaka by any chance, would ya?
Why do you care? Ino said, as she backed away from him and watched his eyes shine over into light.
That's great, he shouted, licking his lips. A big-time leaf clan like that would probably have tons of money to pay for you if we could catch you. And even if I killed you, I'm sure we could sell your corpse to some other village for big bucks. Hey, another hidden village would probably pay more for you if we left you alive. Those clan seekers of yours and all.
Ino took a step back as his body started to shake as if he were having a small seizure.
Okay then, no more holding back on you, sweetie. Here's the scatter shot. Skillful sticky splatter.
Ino watched as Kay jumped into the air and spun rapidly as he began to shoot brown globs out of his mouth at a fast pace all over the place. The ground was littered with brown stains from the jutsu, and after all was said and done, Ino even had taken a few direct hits with the stuff.
So gross,
she said to herself, as she had to keep trying to wipe it off of her clothes lest she wind up sticking her hands to them. Kay then landed directly on the ground, grinning madly at her.
That bastard can't even catch himself in his own stuff? That's so unfair!
Not only did Ino have to watch her own step lest she get caught again, her opponent didn't have the same issue, and he was already faster than her to begin with. Ino dodged a few more swipes until another splat noise told her that she had caught her bare foot in the substance. Keeping her eyes on the entire field and her enemy at the same time was very tough for her.
Gotcha!
Kay lunged towards her in a stab with his claw, intending to go right through her. Ino slid back on her free foot with her other one stuck. She placed herself in a split, dodging the stab of the claws, and saw an opening that she just couldn't pass up. She cocked her right hand back and let it go just as hard as she could, right into Kei's proverbial twig and berries. Kei let out a breathless gasp and backed away, holding his goods with a look of horror on his face. Ino smirked at getting a momentary reprieve, but that wouldn't keep any ninja worth a damn down for a good amount of time. And her leg was still stuck. She reached for the supply pouch she kept on the back of her hip and felt around for a kunai to try and cut herself free with while she had a chance. "You little bitch," Kei growled as he stopped dry heaving over his testicular damage. "I'll ransom you back to the leaf in pieces. 10,000 Rio for a finger, 50,000 for a limb, 100,000 for your head," he yelled as he ran towards her, swinging his claw wildly in rage. "Come on." Ino's hand fumbled around in her pouch before she finally grabbed a kunai and pulled it out in a vain attempt to try and defend herself from her place on the ground. "Ino!" Two masculine voices yelled out before a loud clang of metal rang out in front of her. Ino blinked at the sight of an orange short-sleeved jacket, the back of which had a swirl emblem set in it, in front of her. As she focused what had been her moments before death, tunnel vision back on the wide scope of things, she saw Naruto standing in front of her, protecting her from Kei's claw. "Are you alright?" she heard him ask her. Yeah, I'm fine," Ino replied, grateful for the timely intervention. "How did you know I was here?" Flashback, just after Ino and Shigeru's encounter. In his search for another leaf, Naruto had run into Asuma, and both had decided to walk back to the house, with Asuma enjoying the quiet night with a calming smoke. Asuma at first had thought that Naruto had cut the leaf, and was about to show his amazement when Naruto told him that that hadn't been the case. When grilled on what exactly had happened on the leaf, Naruto kept mum on the matter. As they both came out from the house, they saw Shigeru standing outside, holding his arm and yelling somewhat at Katashi. "That leaf girl tried to break my arm!" "Well, what did you do to her?" They heard a lazy voice call out as the barn door opened to reveal a seemingly well-rested Shikamaru with some straw in his hair that he picked out. "Ino's troublesome, but she knows better than to just beat people up. So what did you do?" Shigeru glared at Shikamaru, only to get one right back that made him back down quickly. He turned to find Asuma and Naruto staring at him coldly as well, and when he was about to complain about it to Katashi, he saw the man sitting on the front step of the house giving him a stern gaze that showed no pity. "So what did you do? You lied to me, and I swear to God, I'll work you into a puddle for the rest of your stay here." Feeling the triangle of pressure from everyone on the ranch at the moment, Shigeru tried to word his way out of trouble. "All I was trying to do was show her a good time, you know? It gets boring out here." However, that wording didn't fool Katashi in the least, as he angrily stood up. "You what? Don't try to spruce it up. You tried to force yourself on her, didn't you? What the fuck's wrong with you? You're 12! In a flash, Shigeru found himself on the ground, bleeding from the mouth, after taking a punch from Naruto, as Asuma didn't even attempt to hold him back. "You son of a bitch!" Before Naruto could step towards him again, Asuma grabbed a hold of him this time and turned him around. "Go find Ino, alright? I'll take care of this." He turned towards Shikamaru, who was glaring down at Shigeru with his fist shaking. "Shikamaru, go with him and cool off. That's an order." Shikamaru looked up at his sensei and nodded as he and Naruto walked away, neither of them taking their eyes off of Shigeru until they got further than 30 yards away. Shigeru wiped the blood from his lip and worked his jaw in case Naruto had fractured it or something before standing back up. Before he'd even try to walk away, Katashi turned him around and abruptly punched him in the face himself, laying him out on the ground. Katashi cracked his knuckles as he glared down at the boy. "Sorry about all this, Asuma-san. Apparently I need to work some goddamn conduct into him too before I send him back to his parents." Kiyomi walked outside and saw Shigeru on the ground. "What happened?" "Your brother tried to force himself on a girl," Katashi said without the least bit of remorse for what he just did. "You guys have been wasting my time for the last month since you got out here. Tomorrow, you're both going to learn the value of work the hard way. But you'll be getting it far easier than Shigeru, so just get ready." Hearing how serious and angry Katashi's voice was, all Kiyomi could do was just nod. "Good, now go back inside and get ready to eat. The food should be ready by now." Meanwhile, Shikamaru and Naruto stomped off to look for Ino, as the genius looked over at his blonde comrade. "So I take it you're more pissed off than me somehow." "Damn right!" Naruto growled out. "Trying to mess with Ino like that, and try and pin her on her? If anyone's gonna make my teammate cranky and psychotic, it's gonna be me." End flashback. Naruto struggled against Kei as he answered her. "Me and Asuma-sensei showed up just in time to find Shigeru teammate complaining about you putting him face first in the dirt. I went looking for you, found Shikamaru, who also heard what happened. And when I tried to censor you out, I felt someone else around you fighting you." "The cattle are gone," Ino said in vain and tried to pull her leg free. "We know," Naruto assured her. "A clone already went to tell Asuma-sensei and Katashi." His attention was fully on Kei, whose stab attempt had been blocked by holding his machete up, holding the weapon in place between the claws. "This guy probably stole them, didn't he?" "Got it in one, runt," Kei taunted as he tried to push down and drop his claws into Naruto. "The cattle belong to me and my brothers now, so why don't you just give up? I've got a better idea." As another voice rang through Kei's ears, he felt himself go rigid and unable to move. "Shadow possession complete. How did you sneak up on me?" Kei asked as he was unable to turn his head but could feel Shikamaru's presence behind him. "I walked," Shikamaru admitted. "You always notice whenever someone tries to sneak up on you, but you never see it come when someone just walks past you normally. Naruto already had Ino covered. It wasn't a rush.
Now you said something about cattle missing. Kay cackled. It's too late now. With my brother's abilities, they've gotten the animals far away from here by now. I'll never tell you anything. It was always gonna be death for us. We're missing Ninja. Nothing you do to me is gonna get me to sell my own blood. My only allegiance is to Satoshi Oni-sama.
Shikamaru rubbed the back of his head.
Man, you're gonna make this hard. We're gonna find them anyway. Unless they're herding them through the thick woods, there's only one they could use to take the cattle, and we have a walking sonar with us. We don't really need you.
And you're expendable, Naruto said to him, holding the machete to his neck close enough to draw blood. Shikamaru didn't really want to kill anybody though.
Ino, can you read his mind?
Ino shook her head side to side.
No, that's a super advanced technique that Dad didn't let me learn yet.
He says it's for people that intend to go into interrogation. I don't know it.
Well, we can't just wait.
Shikamaru tried to think about how they would handle this.
Oh, for fuck's sake,
Kay thought to himself as he rolled his eyes. Stupid brats, he was caught by a bunch of Genin. Didn't they realize the longer they waited, the further away his brothers would get? Shikamaru finally let out a sigh after thinking for a bit and looked at Naruto.
Are you good to go?
Naruto nodded firmly, and the pineapple-haired Genin looked at Ino.
Ino, turn around right now.
Ino did it with a frown on her face, averting her eyes from Naruto and Kay.
Go ahead, Naruto. We're wasting time with this guy.
Kay's eyes widened as he felt Naruto draw the machete across his throat cleanly.
So the brats had the sack to go through with it after all.
His body was being held up by Shikamaru's jutsu, keeping control of his body as he steadily lost blood from his neck and choked on it. Eventually, he let off a death rattle, and Shikamaru let his body drop to the ground, free of his jutsu. Ino kept her eyes shut until she felt Naruto grab her ankle and cut her leg free.
Thank you, Naruto,
she said, getting a nod from him as Shikamaru threw her the missing sandal that he managed to cut free in the meantime. To date, Naruto had been the only one out of them to directly kill someone, and now that count was up to 3. From the way he wiped his blade clean on the grass and sheathed it, it was obvious that even though he clearly didn't like it, he could and would do such. They all knew how to kill. Watching a person die was way different than watching the small animals that they had been forced to put an end to in the academy in preparation.
Let's go,
Shikamaru said once he saw Naruto was finished and ready to continue on.
They could have only taken the main road out of here with all those cattle, and we can't wait for Asuma to get here. Whatever he's doing, as troublesome as it is, it's up to us now.
Ino finished securing her shoe back onto her foot and stood up ready to keep going. Right, she had been saved yet again. It was time to show that she could be useful when it continued. Right, she had been saved yet again. It was time to show that she could be useful when it counted. As a member of this team, she had to bear carry her own weight. Does this still qualify as a C-rank mission? She asked Shikamaru absently. Due to chapter length, no bonus. End of chapter 13.